It is official, I am now a clone fragrance channel. Today we are talking about my 10 favorite clone fragrances in my entire 50+ bottle collection. While I rattle off these ones, let me know in the comments below what your favorite clone fragrance of all time is. And subscribe if you're not already, because I mean, I'll clone you and I'll make you subscribe. That's not a threat, it's a joke. Starting off strong with the first fragrance, honestly my favorite of the Hawas fragrances, that's Rasasi Hawas Ice. This is honestly what I think is the best version of Rasasi Hawas. This is plum, a bunch of citrus, cooled down with some mint that gives it this cooling edge to it, and some musk. It's kind of an inspiration or a twist of Invictus, but this is just done so much nicer. What they did here is they actually took the original Hawas DNA, kind of took out some of that spice, added some mint, honestly put in some higher quality smelling citrus, and made it smell a lot better. In my opinion, if you wanted Hawas, this is the way to go. I really love this fragrance, and it's really becoming one of my most worn clones in my entire collection. This right now, unfortunately, the only downside to it is still a little bit expensive. It's around $72 Canadian, still less than Invictus or Invictus Aqua, which is an insane resale value right now. Honestly, I think that it's worth the price. I do think that this is one of my better clones in my collection because of not just the price, but its wearability. You can wear this pretty much all year round, but it is better for warmer weather. And it is a little bit youthful because it is very sweet. It's based off of Paco Rabanne's Invictus, which is a crazy sweet fragrance. So if you don't like that, you're not gonna like this. And that goes for all the fragrances in this video. If you don't like the original, you're not gonna like the clone either. I know, it's crazy, right? Move on to the second one. This is Armaf's Club de Nuit Intense Men limited edition Parfum with a crazy name. I've been hyping this stuff up, unfortunately, since the beginning of my channel, honestly, because I wanted an affordable way to smell like Creed Aventus, and this is pretty much as close as I think it's ever going to get. No matter what anyone else says, this is my favorite clone of Creed Aventus and one of my favorite fragrances in my entire collection. Why I don't feel like it's necessary to own Creed Aventus or Greed Aventus when you have this in your collection. This is basically smoky birch, kind of like a burnt kind of woody smell with some citrus, some pineapple, some musk, some black currant. It's very accurate to what Creed Aventus is if you consider a smoky batch of Creed Aventus. It smells very, very good quality. I honestly get extremely good longevity out of it, way better than Creed Aventus even, and way better projection. So there's no losing when you buy a fragrance like this because it takes the original DNA, amplifies it, and makes it more powerful, giving it a lot of character, so much character, in fact, that I can't stop wearing this one. Okay, this one is very new to my collection. We're talking a week. But this is Kismet Magic, or formerly known as Kismet Angel by Maison ALhambra. This is very, very good. This is an interpretation of Angel Share by Kilian. This is one of the closest that I've ever smelled. And I don't really need to get exactly with Kilian's Angel Share. I love that fragrance on its own, and that's why it's one of my favorite niche fragrances of all time. But this almost makes it so you never have to buy that insanely overpriced fragrance because this is delivering 90+% of what that is. So what this is it's a very, very gourmandy, sweet, in-your-face type of fragrance, but also having a little bit of an edge by giving you this cognac note. It does open a little bit boozy. So if you don't like boozy fragrances, you're gonna have to get past the opening with this one because that is the center point of the opening. But it also has some honey, some vanilla, some cinnamon, very gourmandy, very holiday-like fragrance, perfect for the cold weather. I absolutely love this stuff. Now the projection isn't insane. Neither is the projection of Angel Share. But for the scent profile that this is, it's a very classy kind of date night, pull you in close type of scent profile that you wouldn't want to be strong anyway. I think that this is actually amazing. It's my favorite so far clone of Kilian's Angel Share, which is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. For Kismet Magic, I paid $29 Canadian. When I say that you're getting insane price value with all these fragrances, I mean it. It's hard to go wrong when that's $29 and it's inspired by a fragrance that costs over $400. Like, you just can't lose. Now this next fragrance, if you've even spent a moment on my channel, you've seen me hype this one up, and it's for good reason. It's because I absolutely love it. That is Afnan's Turathi Blue. This is so hard not to wear. I have to stop myself from wearing this one because it's so easy to wear. It's so versatile. This is sparkling, almost champagne-like grapefruit with some musk, a little bit of a spicy, like, nuance, some woods. Super attractive, very, very fresh though. With that being said, it being fresh, you're not gonna get the most amazing performance, and this is a little bit more musky. Now this is a interpretation of Bulgari's Tigar, if you did not know, and it's scary close. Like when I'm saying you could basically replace Bulgari's Tiger with this, I truly mean it. Maybe this is a tad bit more muskier. Maybe the grapefruit on the top is a little bit more bubbly, but after a little bit of time, it settles down to 98% Bulgari Tiger. And this one cost me $43 Canadian for this, I think, 90 ml. Like, what kind of price value are we getting? This is why I say we're having a run for the money in the war of clones versus niche fragrance houses and designer fragrance houses. This is insane price value, honestly, and it's shocking me. And that's why I'm starting to realize that I need to talk about clones somewhat. Not if I'm asked by a company to review their products, but only on my own accord. That's why I'm finding the best clone fragrances, and I'm not being paid by any of these companies like others. Let's move on to the next one, shall we? So this one is new to my collection as well. This is an interpretation of Tom Ford's Tuscan leather, and that is La Yuqawam by Rasasi. Wow, this stuff is absolutely quality, it's amazing, but it's a little bit more expensive than some of your other clone fragrances, because for this 75 ml, I paid $65. That's almost $1 per ml, and we're talking Canadian prices. But I think that this stuff smells absolutely quality. Some of the Rasasi oils that they use do seem a little bit elevated in terms of their quality, but this one is basically leather, suede, and this nice fruity raspberry note that sits underneath some woods. Man, not me, the bottle. Stop it with the squeaky caps, guys. You're gonna get me in trouble. Okay, so this one, honestly, I think that it's kind of replaced my need for Tuscan leather. I know Tuscan leather is a fantastic fragrance. Tom Ford makes some amazing fragrances, but with those amazing fragrances and higher quality oils, he charges an arm and a leg. Tom Ford has an edge in the designer market to the point where they almost seem niche quality, but the prices are just insane, Tom Ford. Okay, so this is a very good interpretation to the point I don't feel like I need to buy Tuscan leather, and I might not. I mean, well, I probably will to review it eventually, but the performance to this is also very good, but it being a more leather woody fragrance, I think it's perfect because of that fruitiness from the raspberry to wear as a dressed up fragrance in the fall and winter time. This time of year especially, looks like that outside in Canada, I think is perfect for this fragrance. But my only criticism to it is the price point. Bring the price of this down, and I think it is an absolute contender for one of the best clones of all time. This is Lattafa Hamra Kawa, and I have grown to absolutely love this fragrance. It is definitely 100% better than Lattafa Hamra, the original. This one is right up my alley. It adds this nice spicy, almost like cardamom-like coffee note in the back with some praline, some cinnamon, some vanilla tonka, and some praline, which gives it this chocolatey dark sweetness to it. I think that this is more of a masculine wear than the original one, taking out some of those almost kind of more gourmandy, like bright edges, like almost, if you picture like bright gourmandy edges like vanilla and darker like chocolate, that's the contrast of bright and dark gourmand notes. But anyways, the original had some more white floral elements that seemed very feminine, and this one takes it in a masculine direction, kind of darkening that sweetness, having that ground kind of coffee scent profile and that warm spicy edge. This is definitely the better way to go if you wanted Lattafa Hamra. Just get this one because it's not only better in its scent profile, I think that it's also better in its performance category, because this one I get like 8 to 10 hours or something like that. Banger alert. I think that this is one of my favorite, not only just clone fragrances, because it's not directly a clone, but one of my favorite fragrances to wear this time of year. I'm gonna give this a lot of wearing this year, 2024, because I really like this stuff. Let's move on to the next one, which is Club de Nuit Milestone, which is an interpretation of Creed's Millissime Imperial, which is basically a aquatic, salty, fruity fragrance with some musk in the backdrop. So this one is basically sea notes. It has red berry, some heavy musk in the background, and some amber that gives it this sweetness, and some woods. Not the most complex fragrance, but super easy to wear. And in summertime, it just smells like you're almost eating like a fruit bar by the water on a beautiful sunny day. This one is amazing price value as well, because you can buy this for $40 Canadian. This one is scarily close to Creed's Millissime Imperial with better performance. Like, it doesn't make me want Creed's Millissime Imperial when I compared it directly to Chad from A Gentleman's Journeys old batch, like I didn't detect enough difference for me to even want that fragrance when I have the dupe right here. If you like that fragrance, you're gonna love this one because it's very, very close, a little bit more musky. That's kind of what I've noticed about these Middle Eastern fragrances is they do like to emphasize their musk or spices or just make it extremely powerful. And they do that here. This next fragrance is an interpretation of Dior Parfum, okay? A beloved fragrance. This is called Gary's Den by Fomo Parfums. Horrible name. Fomo Parfums, if you didn't know, is Fragrance Buy's own fragrance brand, which seems to be a clone house, right? Now, I must say, I'm gonna give you a complete warning. I am affiliated with Fragrance Buy, but they have no idea I'm doing this, and they're not paying me to present this. I just think that this is a very good representation of Dior Homme Parfum, but not just Dior Homme Parfum. I think that this takes elements of Dior Homme Parfum and Dior Homme Intense and just smashes them together. This one is sweet, but it also has the animalic kind of leathery nuance that Dior Homme Parfum is known for. Now this one, the primary center point is that iris. You cannot deny me that this smells exactly like Dior style iris. It's very scary how close this one gets, to the point that it's almost unnecessary to have those two fragrances when you have this one. It's also very beastly. Like, this stuff fills an entire room when you spray it. I really think that this is the way to go. If you wanted those fragrances and thought that they're just extremely outside of your budget because they are still expensive, like even this one, my friend Dimitri, he bought this directly from France and shipped it over to me, and it still cost me around $200 Canadian. It's insanely expensive. So, I mean, honestly, it's hard not to look at this fragrance, but at the same time, I don't think it's gonna get a lot of love because it's just Fragrance Buy's clone house, right? I've never tried any of their other offerings. They might be horrible, but I like this one, and honestly, I will recommend it if someone's looking for an affordable clone to Dior Homme Parfum. But like I said, hybrid of Dior Homme Parfum and Dior Homme Intense. Amplified sweetness, but also that leather edge and a very nice iris. This next one I have reviewed on my channel. I've grown to absolutely love this one. This is Lattafa Asad. Why do I think that this is a good fragrance? Well, it takes a popular fragrance known as Dior Sauvage Elixir and basically makes it more wearable. Now, what do I mean by that? Dior Sauvage Elixir is a absolute powerhouse. It's a dry, spicy, kind of aromatic fragrance, right? You get lavender, you get nutmeg, which kind of dries it out and gives it this spice. And that combined together makes it almost like an old school smelling fragrance, but they modernize it up with some kind of like modern type of sweetness that sits underneath there. But that fragrance is extremely strong and very powerful, to the point that you only can wear like 2 sprays anywhere you go, or else you're gonna overwhelm people. What they did with this one is they do have a little bit of that modern sweetness, like kind of a vanillic modern sweetness, but also this pineapple fruitiness on top. And instead of that nutmeg, which dries it out, they have tobacco and black pepper in this fragrance. Now, Dior Sauvage Elixir, I believe, is Parfum concentration, and this one is EDP. Now, you would think that the performance would be better on an EDP in terms of the projection, but this is actually the opposite. What this actually does is this calms it down. It tames down the beast of Dior Sauvage Elixir and makes it more of a wearable, everyday version of it. So if you wanted this beastly, all you have to do is just overspray it. 10 plus sprays, and you'll get the equivalence of like what Dior Sauvage Elixir is after 3. So just spray more of this one because it's very affordable. This one was a $34 price tag Canadian for this 100 ml. A downside to this one is it took months for it to actually smell the way it does now and perform the way it does now. I didn't like this fragrance at first, but I grew to love it over time, letting it sit in the dark place and just mature a little bit. But definitely give this one a shot if you like Dior Sauvage Elixir, because for some, this is better than that because, I mean, it's just more wearable. Okay, now we're moving on to a fragrance that I will disclose I was given for free, but that doesn't matter because you know I'm honest. That is Liquid Brun by Fragrance World. This is a scarily accurate representation of Parfums de Marly Alter. Now, I will say this fragrance has completely scratched my itch, my need for wanting Parfums de Marly Alter, which is a fragrance that grew on me tremendously, I gotta say. If I had Alter and not this one, I probably wouldn't love it so much because it really scratches that itch. It's so scarily accurate to that fragrance. It really like shocked me, I gotta say. The only thing that I really noticed was a slight quality difference in the opening, which I think will probably get better with time, and it projected a little less, but either way, this is a very wearable fall and winter fragrance. The notes to this fragrance is kind of like a gourmandy sweet, like vanilla tonka combination with some scratchy, dusty orange blossom in the forefront, and some musk. So it also has a praline, which gives it this gourmandy chocolatey feel. This is creamy and dusty at the same time. This isn't for everyone. If you don't like orange blossom in your fragrances, I wouldn't even suggest this one a little bit because this is very orange blossom forward. But I think Altair is kind of an underrated Parfums de Marly fragrance. I really do like it, but it's crazy expensive to the point I shelved it. I'm probably not going to buy it for another 2 years until it comes down in price, but this is scratching that itch, and it's really made me want to dive into Fragrance World fragrances a little bit more. Like, they never reached out to me or anything. Fragrance By actually sent me this product, and I gotta say, it's making me want to try more of Fragrance World's offerings because this one is just so good. I've already worn this one about 4 or 5 times now, and I'm definitely considering giving it a full review very, very soon. If you like cologne fragrances, definitely check out my hauls where I found these fragrances for the first time to see my initial reactions. Get to the first part right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over there.